Hello, beautiful Facebook Live. How you doing today? Happy Saturday. Welcome to my very first masterclass of 2022. This is my theme song. I'm going to give you a minute to jump on here, have a boogie with me, have a dance and settle in. I'm going to be here for 1 hour, so if you can, come and join me, grab a cup of tea, find yourself a comfy seat, and we're going to have a little chat. When you're jumping on, say hi so I can see who's here, and if you're watching the replay, then do a little hashtag replay. Hi Sammy. If you are watching the replay, hi. Please comment along as I'm talking and I will see everything afterwards. I'm really excited to be here with you live on my personal profile. This is rare these days and it feels oh so good. I have a beautiful community here. Some of you are from my childhood. Some of you are from my past life as a farmer. Some of you are from my family, and some of you are my clients or my past clients. So whoever you are, you're welcome to join the conversation. And I do invite you to have a wiggle with me. I had a dance in my bedroom this morning. I've been creating for my business all day and it's felt really good. It always feels so right to get back into my body, move it and let it flow, and then watch it and watch what my body does without my mind taking over. Okay. So, I'm really grateful for those that are here live. And I'm going to finish this song out. Thank you. So welcome to this conversation. Welcome to the first masterclass of 2022. It's been a while since I held a masterclass and I adore them. I really adore them because it gives me a chance to dive into a topic in a space that's not a paid coaching container. It's a space that's wide out in the open. It's definitely more edgy. It feels really beautiful to know that this can land with anybody. I don't know who it's going to land on. And this conversation is going to be very important for a lot of people. So if you're here and you're feeling this tug of this topic, or maybe you've said to yourself, but who am I to follow my dreams? Or a niggle comes up that keeps on stopping you from doing something that you really want to do. Maybe there's something you really want to do and you haven't been doing it. This is the conversation for you. We're going to go to some places that I'm really excited to take you, and we're going to unravel something. And hopefully at the end of this, you're going to come out of it and you're going to feel like, I'm ready. And that sentence is going to be at the forefront. Who am I not to do this thing, create this thing that I am feeling in my heart that I want to create? 4:30 a.m. from France. Hi, Carla, Sophia. Lovely to see you here from France. Good morning. That is early. Right. So, I got my notes here. I go on a rampage. Before I start any class, I have a rampage and I write down everything that's hot on my heart and I let it come out. I let it unravel through me and it's going to be placed here for you. So what I see is that there is a common theme with my close people in my life, with me, with my friends, with my clients, and that is this question of, but who am I to do this thing? Who am I to make a noise, to speak up in my opinion? Who am I to even come live on Facebook and have this conversation? This is the biggest thing that I ride through with myself and with my clients. Even to the point where this morning, when I posted my dance on the stories, and you can go and watch the stories, and I'm dancing, and when I dance for myself, I don't have many clothes on because I love to feel completely free in my body, and clothes make me feel a little bit less free. So when I'm just by myself, I'm mostly naked if it's warm enough, and I'm dancing and I enjoy my body so much. Hi, Claudia. And then when I post it up onto social media, I've been doing it for a couple of years now, and I've got used to it. I've got used to putting my body up in its free flow up on social media, but I still have this hint of, what are they gonna think of me? What are the thoughts that are gonna go through the people's head? It's still there. And I'm gonna say to you right now from the get-go, it probably will always be there. It probably will always be there. But the question is, what is louder? Is that thought louder than the action? Or is the action louder than the thought? This is where we're going to start. You're going to have two things going on inside of you. And those two things are a deep yearning, a deep something. For me, it's to create art and to be seen and to inspire and to promote change and to encourage deep thinking and to make minds become more free, right? Deep yearning for women to feel glorious and sexy and free in their bodies. And then there's another voice that says, but what are they going to think? But who are they and what are they going to think? And is this spiritual enough? Whatever the thoughts are, right now they're small. But which am I going to let lead? What is going to be louder? You want your effortless yes action to become louder than the thought of, what are people going to think of me? Or who am I to do this? Who am I to be bold, so bold as to put something out into the world? What if they don't like it? What are they going to say? Now, I've realized something in all of my years of experimenting with this, experimenting with taking the action instead of listening to the voice, listening to the thought. And by experimenting with this, I've realized something, that every time the action overcomes the limiting thought, every time the action overcomes the limiting thought, a new door will open for me. A new door, a new idea, a deeper yearning, a sentence in my mind, an idea to talk to somebody, the next step, the next door, the next magical piece that I couldn't have made up myself drops in. So this is what we are going to be talking about today. And you'll find that nearly all of my content, all of my coaching, everything that I talk about will lead back to this feeling of yes in your body, this alignment of action, taking aligned action. I've even run a program called Aligned Action. So we'll always come back here. I want to let you know that at the end of this masterclass, I'm going to let you know about 2 offers that I have for you. I'm not going to put them through the class. I just want to let you know that if you're interested in diving deeper into this conversation, at the very end, I'll let you know I'm going to share them with you. Okay. So, I've seen something, and there's something that's very real here. And that is that we are seeking permission. We're seeking permission, and that thought that comes into our mind says, what are they going to think? Is this going to be okay? Am I going to be accepted? Will they not like it? What if I fail? So we are seeking permission from the outside world. Always. Now, there's 2 reasons why we do this. One reason is because in our biology, we are community creatures. And if we do get outcast, there's something deep down in us that kind of equates that to death, right? It's sort of like, if I'm not accepted by my community, I might die. I'm going to say, yes, back in the old days, maybe if it was a little bit more primitive, yeah, maybe you would have. Maybe you wouldn't have been a part of the safe community of your tribe back in the day, and you would die. Now, you're not going to die. Your ego might, right? There might be friendship groups that you have old friendship groups that you have, maybe even recently formed friendship groups that you have, yet you continue to grow and maybe they aren't on the same page as you, and you're really wanting to try something different, speak about something a little bit different to the common narrative of your friendship group. It's so scary, because what if they don't agree with you? What if you know their opinion and yet you hide yours? And to fit in, you try and just play the game of their opinion because you want companionship, right? So what you do is you stay safe for fear of maybe dying or being outcast, which never frees you to be able to go and have free conversation and be liberated inside of a community that can actually hold you. So we're seeking permission from the outside. So one of the reasons is biological. The second reason why we seek permission from the outside is because of our schooling system. It's because we have been mostly, I'd say most people here went to school, right? And even if it was as wonderful as a Steiner school, the kind of school that I went to, we're still dealing with an education system that has targets and tests and requirements and grades where you can or cannot do good enough to pass. It's literally possible to fail at school. So inside of an education system in which we were mostly raised, you were taught that it's possible to fail. So you're trained to seek permission from the outside world for constant acknowledgement that you are doing good enough. And it is possible to fail. So here, in this, right here, you were trained when you were young that it is even possible that you could be good enough. That you were always striving to reach good enough. Right? It's like this, can you feel it in your body? I can feel it in my body when I think about it. Now, I was a good student. I really liked school. But I still went through this indoctrination. I still went through this. And I'm going to unpack a little bit about the meaning of education and indoctrination. I'm going to put a little put a little theory there with you. So there has actually been something that I learnt along my way during all of my experimentations with this life that I've lived, that I feel blessed to have gone outside of this mainstream. I wanted to become a doctor. I wanted so much to be good enough to be a doctor, to get a good enough grade to be a doctor. I got a good enough school grade, but I didn't get a good enough UMAT, University Medicine Entry Test. Didn't get a good enough UMAT. I wasn't good enough to be a doctor, right? I wasn't good enough to be a doctor that time. So I was believing I wasn't good enough to be a doctor. But something that I have learnt along the way of having multiple businesses, living in multiple countries, having many, many relationships, trying many things in a very different way to what I was raised. I learnt that we will never, ever, ever, ever be good enough. And later on in this masterclass, we're going to do a little bit of work around actually anchoring in the truth of that. Now, this isn't like, oh, poor me, I will never be good enough. This is a liberation, that we discontinue the striving for inside of the training that we were given as children, that we could ever be good enough. So I actually had this big epiphany whilst, or just before, I came onto a training call late last year in my program called God in the Body. And I'm diving really deep into the energy of God, living with God in my body, and what it feels like to be guided, to be in surrender, in that beautiful, deeply feminine place where I hold hands with the divine. I've been practicing that. And I came to a training call. I was leading the training call. And I absolutely could not stop crying, because in that moment I felt the absolute blissful purity and freedom of what it meant to not be good enough. And it wasn't scary anymore. It was that I will never be good enough because even for myself, I will always strive for more. Even for myself, I will always desire more. So when I arrive where I am, here, I'm already striving for more. I'm already dreaming about what's next. Right in this moment, I'm not good enough for the dreams that I can carry. So I no longer strive to run my dreams off the back of needing to be good enough. That doesn't even have a say anymore. Right? We were trained to be good enough to get the grades. And I'm going to untrain you, or start the untraining that is even a thing. In this class, you're going to find that failure, the concept of failure itself, is a lie. You actually cannot fail. But let's give you a few examples. So this is actually a couple of things that go through my head, or have gone through my head, when it comes to, am I good enough, or who am I to do these things? So, who am I to teach dance? I can't dance as good as the person who is trained. I can't dance as well as the person who is in a dance company. I was trained but lightly with my mum. I was trained but only for 6 months in a dance school. Who am I to teach dance? I can't dance like them, but I dance like me. So who am I not to teach women to be free in their bodies? And as I'm saying these, I want you to go through moments in your life and things that you've said to yourself. Who am I to do this, right? Who am I to teach dance? I can't dance like them, but I can dance like me. And I'm a really good teacher. I can't deliver a well-executed speech on stage like she can or like he can. I haven't done a TED Talk. I can't bring a really well-executed, memorized speech on stage. And if I tried, I'd probably freeze up and not do a very good job anyway. But if I'm going to speak on stage, I bring light and I bring fun and I bring passion. I bring it like me. This all went through my head when I stood up on stage last year at the Quantum Leadership Summit. I was like, am I supposed to plan this? Whew. And then I had to go, look, it's just me. I have an energy. Let's just get up and let's just speak about play. And I spoke about play. Who am I to speak about suffering? I haven't ever suffered as much as she has, or as much as they have. I have never suffered. I could never know the suffering of them. But I still know suffering. I can still talk to the level that I have embodied it about suffering. Right? Who am I not to speak about the suffering that I know, if it's going to be relatable, if it's going to be a story, if it's going to be something that I want to share? I don't have a university degree. Who am I to teach or talk about things that could actually, be topics at university? But I spent all of those years that I wasn't in university learning from free minds, traveling the world, having incredible relationships and building businesses that matured me. Every single business that I run was like a self-growth business. Who am I not to talk about topics that I've lived through my body? Right? I haven't learnt them in a university, but I've lived them through my body, and I'll speak about what I have lived. I never fulfilled my dream of becoming a doctor. Who am I to talk about fulfilling dreams? But instead, that dream transformed into the dream of living a foundationally healthy life. Who am I not to talk about health? Right? I didn't fail by not going to dance school. I didn't fail by not going to university. I didn't fail by not becoming a doctor. I didn't fail for not having a planned speech. This is just a few examples. I could go through my life as you could through yours and run it through the ringer and seek evidence that you have no grounds to say anything on. But instead of looking for where you fell short, we're going to start to look for evidence of where you picked up and what you picked up along the way. So, I want you to repeat after me. And if you can't do it here and now, do it later. Maybe when you're walking down the street later, or out in the garden, or in the bath. Say these words out loud. I will never be good enough. I will never be good enough. And why would I strive just to be good enough for some other person making the decision that I fail or not? And when you say it, instead of feeling poor me like you would have usually thought when that thought would go through your head, I want you to see it as liberation and see if inside of your body you can laugh with freedom. I will never be good enough. There's something that happens when you dive into Christianity. I'm not going to talk about it too much here. When you dive into this and there is a something here that says you aren't ever good enough. And what happens is you stop putting pressure on yourself. You stop putting pressure on your human to have to be good enough, and you start to relax, and you start to know that all you have to do is live and keep walking and be free. So when you do this, when you're able to say this, I'll never be good enough, let a slight smile come to your lips. And what will happen is the energy will start to flow through you. The energy will flow again. And instead of pinching off from life, you will become a vessel for life to flow through you. I will never be good enough for that lofty goal that I set myself, that I was taught to set myself from the schooling that I had. So I won't try to be anymore, and I'll just do what feels good. I'm going to let life flow through me. And instead of controlling the good enough, I become free. So, everyone that's here now and live, or everyone that's going to watch the replay, there is something that you want to do that you haven't done yet. And I want you to write it down. I want you to write down, if you've got a pen and paper, or flick open your notes, or think about it in your mind. What is something that you've done, that you've wanted to do, that you haven't done yet? Travel overseas, start a business, plant a garden. Oh, but I'm not good enough to plant a garden. I don't know how to do gardening. Carla wants to speak to inspire. She feels a desire to speak to inspire, but she hasn't done it yet. Maybe because there's a potential that in her mind, the reason why she hasn't done it, or the reason why you haven't started a garden or started a business or gone on that dating app is because you think you're not good enough, or that you might fail, or that when you speak you won't inspire, or that you plant a garden and it will die, or that you'll go on the dating app and you won't get any dates. So chances are that if you've wanted to do something and you haven't done it, that there's a little voice in your head that says, oh, but who am I to speak to inspire? Who am I to plant that garden? Who am I to talk about this really great recipe that I made last night? No one really wants to know. I'm just some nobody that doesn't ever post anything but reposts on Facebook, so I'm not going to post my recipe. But I really want to post my recipe, because what if somebody else likes it? And I was so lit up by making this recipe, and actually I changed the recipe and the recipe became even more delicious than the recipe, and now I actually feel like I've maybe got a gift. And maybe I'd like to share it with somebody, but who am I to share? Every time you listen to the voice and make the voice, those thoughts, louder than the action, you close a door. Every time you have a little a little moment where the action wants to burst through your body and become louder than the thoughts. And you listen, you open a door. And you don't know what's through that next door. You have no idea what's through the next door. It's like you open up another door to the universe, and it's kind of all dark inside at first. And if you keep letting the action, like stepping through the door, be louder than the voice that says, maybe don't step through that door. Then if the action's louder, you're going to keep getting new opportunities. But how do we start this cycle? How do you start the cycle of taking the step, taking the action, and letting the action be louder than the thought? You have to surround yourself with evidence. Now, there's 2 ways you can surround yourself with evidence. 1, you find people who are doing what you want to do. And this is where the coaching industry has come from, right? If we need to surround ourselves with evidence that what we desire to do is possible, one way we can do that is to use this fabulous thing we have called the internet, where we have all these glorious humans who are sharing with us these cool things that they do. So say you really want to build a hot air balloon and you're like, I don't even know where to start. You could go online and find somebody that builds hot air balloons. And maybe they have an online course. Or maybe they do a 1-month training in Italy, and you go and you fly to Italy and you surround yourself with evidence that it's possible to live your dream of building a hot air balloon. Right? That's a really cool way to surround yourself with evidence. Get a coach, get a mentor. Right? The other way is really cool. And that is, you say, I've done some cool things in my life. You know, I've wanted to do things, and when I said I wanted to do them and I made a plan, I did them. And you look for evidence of where you have made yourself proud. And where you have made yourself proud, you gained confidence in yourself. And so with every piece of confidence that you gained, you have enough energy behind you to take the next step, and then the next step. So you become this self-perpetuating force. And you don't, not that you don't need other people, but you have this powerful thing inside of you where you actually surround yourself with your own evidence inside of yourself. And this can look like setting up your day every day with ways to make yourself proud. You have evidence around you every day. There's fresh flowers, there's good food, there's a daily routine that you've set and you've stuck to. You're not letting yourself down in life. And so every day you spend some time studying how to build a hot air balloon. And you happen to have a bit of land out the back of your house, and you decide that you're going to build it. And look, this is totally maybe not legal, but you'd find a way, right? And you find a way, creating evidence inside of yourself every day to live this dream, right? Surround yourself with evidence that a new way is possible. So this is, I want to get to this conversation around education. And how if we have this dream inside of us, this desire to do something inside of us, it's coming from the inside out. Now I want you to think of a little kid. I want you to think of a kid, if you know a little kid, think of someone in particular, like your little niece or your little baby if you've got kids. And I want you to think of them between the ages of 1 and 5. And between the ages of 1 and 5, what's the nature of that kid? What comes natural to that kid? They really want something. They want to learn, they want to know. And from an energy that comes from within inside them, from inside of them, a self-driven yearning, they get it. They know they're hungry, they go for it, right? But when they get older, they desire to learn. They're inquisitive, they're interested, and they soak up information naturally. Our natural state of being is to desire to learn and to grow. And then what I have seen and what I've heard from many, many, many people is that when their kid goes to school, or you might remember it for yourself, is that when you go to school, you suddenly have to do it a perfect way. You're suddenly scored against the other kids. And maybe if unfortunately you don't learn in that way, you were told it's not good enough and you played up because you didn't understand, or any sort of thing could happen. And maybe that natural energy that you had for learning goes away, right? Right. So we were kind of gypped at school. And I was talking to a friend about this and I said, it's like at school, we need to have had teachers who are trained to draw out the genius inside of us, who always tell us that exactly what we're desiring to do, the thing that's on our heart, is always right, right? So I looked at education and someone said to me, yeah, the root word of education actually means to bring out, to draw forth, right? Revealing, exposing what's already there. Because what's already there in a child is immense. It's divine. You look at a kid and you can see it. You're so attracted to them. They're so alluring. They're so gorgeous. They're so innocent and they're so pure in their expression. And they're magnetic. So if the root word of education is to draw forth, right? Is that happening in schools? Is that something that's happening where kids are sat down and someone sits in front of them and says, what are your dreams? What do you want to do today? What can we create? What would you love to do with this piece of paper, right? What could you create from this piece of paper? Like real drawing out, right? But I don't think that's what's happening. I think what's happening in schools and potentially universities is more like an indoctrination. Is that indoctrinating is to teach or to imbue with an idea or an opinion. And if you don't get it right in the test that's coming up, you're going to fail. Now, in some ways, in some settings, of course, this is really important that we do know information. But in very many situations for people, the information is not the important part. It's actually the transformation of the human and their own experience in life that's valuable, right? So I would say we're living in a society full of indoctrinated people, including ourselves. We've been indoctrinated to even think that we can get it wrong. We have our kids walking around kind of nervous that they're going to not do it right, that they're going to get in trouble. We've set ourselves up to live inside of this bubble of fear, and we're perpetuating it as adults now, even doing it with our own dreams. So I think this is huge, and I think this is also exciting, because if we can look at this and if we can see this and if we can understand what we're still doing to ourselves now, we're doing what our teachers did, right? Or our parents did. No blame to them. It's just what happened. Now that we have the knowledge, we become even more free. Just like in that sentence, I will never be good enough. Let that be freeing. Let this knowledge be freeing. Oh, I've been indoctrinated. Right. Someone told me the way things were. I was imbued with an idea and an opinion, and I took it on as true. Right. How free is your mind? Can your mind become free enough to completely say, perhaps that's not right? Or perhaps part of it's right, perhaps it's not right, and perhaps it doesn't even matter. Part of becoming a mature adult is having a free mind. You are not a mature adult if you don't have a free mind, because you're still at school. You're still at school thinking, what if I'm not good enough for my teacher? So what I call us to is a conversation that says, am I willing to change this? Am I willing to start to say, who am I not to try this? Who am I not to even change this feeling that I have in my body and grow in a new way? I think that everybody is genius. And I don't think genius comes from something that we figure out in our mind. I don't think genius is trained. I think that genius comes from inside of the body. I think genius is something that comes from the inside out. And we're missing out on a lot of genius in this culture because of the way that we indoctrinate our children and we continue to live as indoctrinated. Genius comes from inside of a free mind and a body relaxed enough to not have to be good enough. It's willing to be different. It's willing to grow. It's willing to do this thing that we call failure, right? In a minute, I'm going to reiterate, that's impossible. It's a lie. Failure is a lie. Yeah, I think kids are naturally genius. I think we're all naturally genius. I think that's not for a select few. And when you know, when you've tapped into this part of your body, this part of your being, you will know that you are genius. And it's, yeah, I dive into that in other places in my world. Okay. So, indoctrination equals, from my understanding, if you don't get it right, you fail. If you're imbued with an idea or an opinion, that's right. If you're not following it or you get it wrong, you will fail. In real life, this doesn't actually exist because it's not that if you don't get it right, you fail. It's that if you don't get it right, you grow. If you don't get it right, all that happens is you're going to grow. So you could do something like say, oh, right, so when I fail, it equals opportunity for growth. Sure, you can do that. Or you can say, actually, failure doesn't even exist, and that whole concept, let's just throw it out the window. Either way, you can handle that however you want to handle that. Okay. Love a good rampage. So I think we are still going somewhere with this. Thank you for my notes. Love your top. Oh, thanks, love. All right. All right. Come on a rampage with me. What would you do now that you know that failure is a lie and that you cannot fail? All that's going to happen is that you grow. You can't get it wrong. You can't get it wrong. All that's going to happen is that you're going to grow. What would you do if you knew that failure was a lie? If you're here live and you feel like answering, then say it with me. Would you dance more because you knew you couldn't get it wrong? If you weren't a good dancer, you weren't good enough to dance. Right? I'm a good dancer, but I'm not professionally trained. I never really danced with a professional company, I did with a mixed ability dance company. I never finished my dance training. I never actually learnt ballet properly. I had to even myself override that. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail and that you knew that you would only grow? Would you dance? Would you start a business? Would you ask for a promotion? Would you have that challenging conversation? Because even if it goes really hard and it goes a bit pear-shaped, you know that all that's going to happen is you're going to grow, and the next hard conversation you have, you're going to get better. Would you go live online more and share your controversial opinions? I know that some of us have them. Would you create art? like you've never created before, and would you show someone? Would you share your poetry that you've been writing in secret? Nicole said, practice equals growing. Kirsten said, I would draw more. I would express love more. I would show my truth more. You can't fail at your truth. The only thing is that you might get somebody else trying to tell you that it's not a good enough truth. Nicole said, we have been failing since we were born. Yeah. And it's the cutest thing. It's the cutest, most endearing, most incredible thing to watch a child fail over and over again when they're trying to learn to walk. It's actually adorable. You're like, please do it again. Oh my gosh. When we tried to lift our head, turn over, feed ourselves, crawl and walk, etc. And then for some reason we go to school and we learn that failure is possible and that it's not actually about growth, it's about not failing. And then suddenly we pinch ourselves off from life flowing through us. Now, if life flowing through us is feminine energy, the flow of life through us, the dance of life continuously unfolding through us is feminine energy, what are we doing? If we're pinching that off, we're going more into our masculine energy. Logic, reasoning, right, wrong, what's next, direction, success, numbers, make sure I pass, what's next in life, make sure I succeed. Masculine, 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 masculine. And we wonder why we're having a liberation of the feminine right now, because we're ready for life to flow through us again. What else would you do? Would you hold your head high if you knew you couldn't actually fail, wasn't possible? Would you look at others with awe instead of jealousy? Because you knew you couldn't fail and that their thriving did not equal less possibility of you thriving. Carla says, you can never get it wrong and you'll never get it done. 100%. So who are you not to speak to inspire when you can't get it wrong? Because maybe you don't inspire 99 people out of 100, but you inspire that one person and you change their lives forever. And they come to you and they say, thank you. Seeing you do that changed my life. And they come to you and they say that, and you feel in your heart something shift. And you realize it's impossible to fail, because even if you've only inspired that one person, you grew. They grew. The world became a different place. Instead of pinching off from life, you opened up to life. And that life came through you and it lit a spark in someone else. I think that's what we're here to do. I actually think that we're all here to walk each other home. And that if we let the flow of life move through us, that we naturally do this. We naturally feel called to share and inspire. So this energy of repeatedly growing out in the open, like the kid that falls over time and time again and we think it's adorable. If we do that, even as adults, do you know what it does? It builds trust. It builds a relationship. It builds a human connection where we say, ah, cute. Look at her go. Builds magnetic energy. It is magnetic energy, the flow of life running through you, the possibility of growth, relinquished from the fear that you might fail, is feminine energy, and feminine energy is magnetic energy. So, what is your dream? What is it that you have wanted to do and you haven't done? Your dream is not there to be a display of your righteous perfection. Your dream is placed on your heart for your evolution and the collective evolution. For your evolution and the evolution of the collective. I'm going to read that again because This is the part where you get over yourself, right? For the thing that puts you into saying, who am I not to? Who am I to do this? Right? Who am I? The dream that's placed on your heart is not there to be a display of your righteous perfection where you say, who am I to do that? No, your dream is placed on your heart for your evolution and the evolution of the collective. Who are you not to do this? Because it's not just for you at this point. It's just really not just for you. Who are you not to take the step towards your dreams? Because it's actually not just for you. When you let the flow of life come through you, you're letting God work through you. This is what having God in the body feels like. When you let the action become louder than those limiting thoughts, you take a step and a door will open. And the door is an idea or an inspiration or an opportunity, and you say yes to that. God says, yeah, she's listening. Let's give her more. Who are you not to get up and start speaking? It's not just for you, it's for the greater collective. I'm walking towards a world. I'm actively creating a world that I want to live in and I want my children to grow up in. And I can't do it alone. So part of what this masterclass is a call to action, right? To listen even deeper to the thing that's on your heart and listen even more attentively to the voices that say, who are you to do that? And recognize what they are as an indoctrination from way back in the day where you thought it was or told that it was possible to fail. It's not possible to fail. The only thing that's there is growth. Who are you not to grow? Who are you not to evolve? As soon as you start doing it, you give permission to others to do it as well. If you have children, if you do it, you give permission for them to do it as well. We are here to be an example for the children. Who are you not to be an incredible example for the children? Who are you not to make a fantastic lasagna where you change the ingredients and then you go live on Facebook and you tell people how great your lasagna is and then you share the recipe? I think that would be great if you did that. I'd like the recipe if it's vegan. If it's not, I'll change it to vegan. Okay, it's when you enter this paradigm that you're feeling coming through me. Nicole says, wow, so profound and powerful. This paradigm of freedom, this paradigm of growth, perpetual, continuous growth. It's when you enter this paradigm that you automatically inspire others, not through necessarily the words that you say, but through the actions that they continuously see you take. It's impressive. It's inspiring without trying to impress or inspire. It just is impressive and inspiring. You don't even need to try. This is kind of like a little secret there. Again, this is what magnetic energy is. So, if you can do something every day, a little tiny step, I call them micro-aligned actions. It's something that I teach in God in a Body. I can't go right into the whole process of how to find them right now, but just think about, if I could take a micro-aligned action, what would it take? What would it look like? What would a micro-aligned action look for me right now? If you can do something that inspires you every day to build your confidence, what would it be? And if you do it, your confidence will compound. You'll become a confident woman. You become more confident in business. You become more confident the moment you step out the door in the morning, step out of bed in the morning, right? And I want to leave this with you. Write it down. Follow, you probably need to write, follow my holy yes. or your inner yes. Follow your yes. Did I wrap that up? Yes. Who are you not to grow? Who are you not to inspire? I need you. So my invitation to you is to, if you didn't watch all of this, go back and watch it again. Write the notes down of what you want to do but you haven't done yet. So write down, what do I want to do but I haven't done yet? See if you can find any of those voices that like what I shared with you, of me. Who am I to teach dance, right? Who am I to start a business when I don't have a business degree? Who am I? I've never started a business before, right? Go through and find the thoughts and have a think about what's louder. Is the thought louder or is the action louder? Because you want to start making the action louder. And it's just little things at first. Remember, it's micro. Start with, do I have a coffee or do I have a tea? And really feel into what one's going to make you more proud of yourself. I'm going to open up to questions just for a few minutes. So if you happen to be here live, you happen to have any questions or want me to go and answer or think about certain different things or clarify any points, and put it here. We'll just do it for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to talk to you about how we can deepen this conversation together and what I'm offering at the moment inside of my business Fire that can bring you into a space where you can really anchor this in, where the action will become louder than these thoughts that have kept you thinking, who am I to do the thing that I want to do? Cherie says, hi Cherie. 2 days ago, I was confronted with the ego stating to me, who are you to do that? With one of my dreams. Ooh, your message is so aligned and timely. Right. And right at the beginning of this masterclass, I said, if you have a dream that you haven't done yet, the chances are there is a little voice that is saying, oh, but who am I to do that? Right? This is the reason for this masterclass. This voice will always be there because we were taught to have it there, and that's okay. Because what it gives us is a really clear look at, is the action louder or is that voice louder? What it also gives us is the opportunity to understand others who have the voice, which is everybody, nearly everybody. So when we start to wrestle with, make friends with, put into action this mechanism of making the action louder than the voice, and we start to succeed at that, we start to witness what happens when the doors open, we get to empathize with, understand deeply the other people in our world that are experiencing blocks. You know, low self-esteem, imposter syndrome, depression, maybe anxiety. Maybe it's all linked in to the idea that we could even fail. The thing that we were taught, maybe that is the root of so many of our mental health issues. I know it was for me. Absolutely it was. Still is. If I have a bad mental health day, sure, I think it's definitely one of the roots. So I really loved having that chat. Can you believe it's been 53 minutes? Just goes like so quick. I want you all to feel what it's like to have something you're so passionate about that you want to talk about it all day, every day. That you love it so much that you want to start a business out of it. That you let it run your life, right? That you let it take over your body and the action becomes like, it feels like God in the body. So I want to tell you about these two things, two ways that we can deepen the conversation together. Let me flick back to the back. I have a brand new thing, and I have an older thing that I've like revamped, that I've given a new breath of life. I'm going to tell you about that one first. So I used to have a membership called Fire membership. right? That came, my brand is Femfire, and I have my Femfire dance course, and then there was the Femfire membership. There's a lot of Femfires going on. Thanks, Nicole. So I have rebranded and changed the vibe inside of my membership. This membership is now more of a community feel, and it's called Holy Yes. Your Holy Yes. Now, the reason I changed this is because this conversation, the deep yes inside of you that we've been talking about today, is something that I want to nurture in people, because this is where God lies. It's inside of these quiet moments where your body and your heart yearn. There's like a holiness to it. There's a higher purpose calling in your body. So the membership has changed, and it's called Holy Yes. It's the same structure, sort of, but I have a whole 12 months of calls, a whole curriculum planned out for us. So there's a training call every week, and I'll give you the link, or you can message me for the link to the sales page where you can actually see each month what our focus is. So January, to give you an example, January is beginning the new year. February, so that's scheduling and your vision and knowing your yes and no to start the year. February is your health, your personal health, like your diet, your sleep, your hydration. So actually getting purified in your habits, in your food. And then going later on, I think May is, the whole month is start an online course. Later on in the year, there is spirituality. There's sex, love, and relationship. There's dance. So every month there is a theme, and there is 3 or 4 training calls, and then a group call where we mastermind all of this. So that's $77 a month to be in this community with my training calls, and a whole year's worth of extra classes that are in there already. So this is where you'll probably get the most value for the lowest cost. And this is the kind of conversation that we have, how to follow your yes, right? It's $77 per month, or $555 for the whole year. You just get a whole year of all of this, it's like a whole freaking course over 12 months. So I'm really excited about that, because I feel that it's really in alignment with the conversations I'm having now, and the community's evolving. And lots of the ladies that are in there have been willing and ready for this conversation to evolve. So we're all growing together. It's so beautiful. The second thing I want to talk to you about is a brand new thing, and it's been brewing for a while. So I am so excited and passionate about it because it's really needed. It's called the Business Confidence Program. It is a 1-month intensive, so 3 calls a week for 4 weeks, all about, didn't bring my book in. I've got the whole curriculum written out. That's annoying. I won't go into detail then, but it's just 4 weeks, 3 calls a week with different themes each week, which is basically, what is your business? All the parts of your business. Who are you talking to? It's not necessarily like finding a niche, it's finding your flavor, it's finding your tone, it's finding your vibe. Where do you talk to them? How do you use social media? How do you fall in love with social media? What do you sell in your business? And how to launch it, right? So it's the basic starting business confidence program with a lot of social media in there, a lot of mentoring in the calls about how to get clear on your business and confident that you are a businesswoman, right? That you are a businesswoman. So one of the things we'll be doing is getting really confident with saying, oh, I'm a businesswoman. Yes, I run a business. It's like number 1 step. So I'm really excited about this. This is starting late February, and I have 15 places only to the public because I have my other private clients that'll be joining, and I want to keep it pretty intimate. So it's $555 for just the course, which there's 10 spots for that. $555 for 1 month of this. And then there are 5 VIP spots, which is that you get 4 calls with me for a month during that month. or the month after. So you kind of get to choose. So that's 1,111. So it's basically like doing 1 month of VIP coaching with me, and you get the 4 weeks of this business confidence program. Nicole says, do you have to have a business? Never mind, you just answered my question. If you're in the business confidence program, it would be good to have a business. Maybe you're wanting a business. You might not have started it yet, but you just want to get some skills under your belt. Even if you don't start it straight away, it's actually going to be a really, really fun, cool, awesome foundation for that business you might start sometime this year. For the Holy Yes, for God in the Body, for other programs that I run like Business as Art, you don't actually need to have a business. A lot of the work that I do is based on feminine energy, right? So it depends on what your focus is. If your focus is on bringing God into your business, or making your business as art, or wanting to focus more on feminine energy, then you can come into the business stuff. It all weaves in the magical stuff as well. Or if you just want to get into your body and get juicy, then come into Holy Yes, or do Femme Fire. I don't know, Nicole, if you have done my Femme Fire dance course. If you've bought it before, then definitely go back and do that. You've got lifetime access. So we have Holy Yes, an amazing community. There's about 40 ladies in there. There are weekly calls, and there's plenty of opportunity to get mentorship. And I'm holding this space for you to tune into the subtlety of your yes, so that you can start letting the action be louder than that limiting thought. Right? And that's $77 a month, or $555 a year. And then if you want to deepen this business, your confidence as a businesswoman, it's $555 for 1 month, 3 calls a week. Or come and work with me VIP for 1 month. So you get the VIP 1 month and the business confidence program content for 1,111. And I have 5 spots for that. Thank you so much for such a brilliant afternoon, for the quickest hour of my life just now. I love you. If you have any questions, jump into my inbox. If you want any of those links, comment below and I will send them to you. Have a beautiful Saturday. Carla Sophia, if you're still there, good morning. I hope you have a great day there in France. To all my ladies, I will see you very soon. Bye.